My name is Alexavier Pedrin. I was 6 years old when my life was brutally taken on February 11, 2023, at a home in Onalaska, Wisconsin. I was living with my dad, Derek Pedrin, and his girlfriend, Josie Dykeman. I was not able to see my mom, Jenna Love, even though she begged to see me. My mom was in prison at the time of my death. I was visiting my mom every 6 to 8 weeks and had frequent phone calls with her, until I was no longer able to and had no access to my mom, my 2 sisters, and the rest of my family. The last time I talked on the phone with my mom was on my birthday, July 10, 2021. The last time I got to visit my mom was in August, 2021. I told my grandma Cheryl that Josie smacked me and made me drink my spit when I was thirsty. My grandma Cheryl told my dad about what I had said, in hope that my dad would let me stay with her to make sure I was safe. Instead, my dad and Josie alienated me from my family. I was not able to see them anymore. I sometimes talked with my oldest sister on the phone, but not for very long. My dad would make excuses to why I could not come to family events or talk on the phone. I last saw my family at my Uncle Justin's wedding in October 2021. He was my buddy. After we took some pictures, my dad made me leave, even though I wanted to stay. I was looking forward to eating and being able to dance. My family was so excited to see me. Josie and the other children were sitting in the van watching. My dad said we had to leave to go to a dog's birthday party, but we didn't have a dog. My Uncle Justin even invited Josie and her children to eat and dance, but my dad and Josie both said no. Throughout 2022, family members saw me at Walmart and sometimes I would see them, but I knew Josie would be upset if I said anything. Later in the year of 2022, my aunt and cousin both saw me at Walmart on 2 different occasions. They recognized a change in my face. I was wearing a coat with a hat, pants, and boots, so it was hard for them to fully see me, but they were worried and knew something bad was happening at my dad and Josie's. The last time my aunt saw me, she saw Josie grab my arm and yell in my face. My family continued making calls to CPS and were doing welfare checks. They have been calling to check on me, even writing letters frequently, but I was never removed from the home and many of my family's concerns were ignored. Other people outside of my family were also making calls to CPS. I was still not removed from the home. My femur was broken 3 weeks before my life was taken. I waited about a week to be taken to the hospital. Josie and my dad brought me to a birthday party where I sat alone in a room as I elevated and iced my leg. I was not able to walk and was in severe pain. I heard the other kids playing but was not able to join them. Eventually, I was brought to the hospital who discovered my femur was broken, and then I was sent to a different hospital that specializes the care I need. Josie and my dad were upset about the questions they got and me being sent to another hospital. A doctor found injuries on my pinky finger, right eyebrow, bruising on my forehead, scabbed over abrasions on my right shoulder, bruising on my left elbow, small bruising across my buttocks, healing patterned injuries on my lower back, big cavities in my teeth, possible pelvic fracture, and many bruises lined up on my left arm. Josie was asking questions as pictures were being taken of my body for documentation. They did not understand why I was still wearing diapers. The doctor told the nurse that if I ever came back, I would be dead. Josie was making phone calls and texting people on both of her two phones. She even was looking up information on Google regarding child abuse. One of the staff reported to CPS. When a social worker arrived, they talked to me, and I told them I fell at school. Josie was talking to me while holding her notebook in her hand where she was writing down names of the staff that came in because she was being accused of child abuse. When I was asked again about what happened, I looked at Josie to answer. Josie did not want me going to either hospital, as one always involved CPS. Staff told CPS their concerns. CPS allowed Josie and my dad to take me back home. On February 10th, there was a call to do a welfare check on me. I was very groggy, but the officer didn't use his flashlight the second time he checked on me, because Josie told him I was traumatized. One of Josie's children was hitting the cast for my broken femur, and the officer saw this. My dad was arrested for violating his no-contact order with Josie that was placed on February 7th when Josie called my dad in for drinking. Within hours, I had succumbed to the abuse I experienced. My autopsy showed that I have blunt force injuries to my head and neck, bruises on my face and scalp, lacerations to my right eyebrow, bruise on the midline of the back of my head, bruises on my upper left side of my neck, hypoxic ischemic brain injury, bruises on my back and chest, bruises on my buttocks, injuries on my private part, internal bleeding in my abdomen, extensive hemorrhaging in my mesentery and distal duodenum serosa, laceration of my liver with hemorrhage and necrosis. Hematoma in my liver, hemorrhage of my pancreas, fracture to my left 10th back rib, following my distal femur fracture that also had bruises and contusions. I had passed away hours before law enforcement was called in. Josie had called her mother, Rebecca Ehlers, first and waited 4 minutes to call 911. Josie told one of the officers that I was on the floor, but the officers that were there first stated that I was found lying in Josie's bed with my hand in my diaper. Josie said she woke up looking for me. She spent a significant amount of time on her phone, evening texted her best friend, Lori Raines, before she got up to look for my body. Josie's two youngest children were in the home at my time of death. She had the older children stay with her mom the night before. When the officers began CPR, they saw a dark black bloody substance come from my mouth. And it stained my face. Rigor mortis had already set in. Josie told the officers that she did CPR before calling and said foam was coming from my mouth, but that was not possible. My body was taken on a stretcher, and I had my autopsy done. While my autopsy was being conducted, Josie was given full custody of her children, even the two that were in the home at the time of my passing. Almost 4 months later, Josie was arrested and charged with my death. On the day I passed, my mom found out through a phone call with her sister. My mom was excited and thought the family was getting together to pick me up, but my aunt told her that unfortunately we weren't able to. My mom screamed and was taken off the phone. She had 40 days before she was released and going to come get me. Josie denied my mom to be released a few times. My mom could have been home to get me in November 2022, but Josie denied it. My family found out about my death through my dad, who was released from county jail Saturday morning on compassion.